Hello and good evening. Thank you, our viewers, for joining us for the UBC News Tonight, the 8 o'clock edition. My name is Wadulo, Arnold, Mark, and Dorothy Namuyomba on sign language. It's going to be an hours-long bulletin, so do sit tight. Let's give you the headlines and then get straight into it. In our top stories tonight, Uganda government signs oil refinery agreement with Alpha MBM Investments of United Arab Emirates. Furthermore, Muslims celebrate Eid al-Fitr with a call for reconciliation and appeal to government to regulate social media. Fisheries Protection Unit intercepts 6 tons of immature fish at Chikorongo. And the Uganda High Court Commission to London join a London-based group of Ugandans to fight malaria. Once again, thank you for joining us. It's now time for the news in detail. In our top story, the Ugandan government has signed a landmark oil refinery agreement with Alpha MBM Investments from the United Arab Emirates. The deal grants Alpha MBM a 60% stake in the refinery project, while the Uganda National Oil Company retains 40% shares. Denis Sigoa has the details.
The signing of the 60,000 barrel per day crude oil refinery deal was witnessed by President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni at State House Entebbe. It marks a major milestone in Uganda's journey toward energy independence and industrialization.
So you people work with them because they are bringing investment. They are not bringing loans. They are coming to invest. Why do you have any problem when you spend days and 3.5 years? The man is very polite. Oh, thank you very much. After 3 years, really we have worked hard. Worked hard. This is Arab politeness.
President Museveni, who praised the United Arab Emirates investors for their enterprising spirit, warned government officials against frustrating investors with bureaucratic delays.
It is really not good for the servants of Uganda to not know what to do. Because what these people are proposing is very clear. I don't know why it would even take 2 days to determine. Fortunately, the national resistance movement is here. Fortunately, the national resistance movement is here. And if you don't move, the NRM will move.
The refinery project will include a state-of-the-art refinery complex in Kabale, Hoima, designed to process 60,000 barrels of crude oil per day, a modern storage terminal in Namwabula, Mpigi district. The other components are a 212 kilometers multi-product pipeline linking the refinery to the storage terminal.
As long as I'm here, I considered myself Ugandan always, and I will stay always Ugandan. I'm doing it for the nation, I'm doing it for the people, I'm doing it to support the community over here. I'm doing it. My happiness is people smile, my happiness is to see the people live better life. That's what I'm looking for, me and my team. Again, I would first of all appreciate and thanks Your Excellency.
Dr. Ruth Nankabirwa, the Minister of Energy and Mineral Development, described the new development as an initiative that will not only enhance Uganda's energy security, but also catalyze economic transformation.
Since we are not going to export the 60,000 barrels of crude oil, that means there will be a balance of payments impact of $591 million per annum. Of course, the general fiscal impact is expected to be $804 million per annum. That is the project that the President has been pursuing, and I would like to thank you sincerely for your guidance, sir.
The refinery project will fully comply with international environmental, health and safety standards, integrating modern technologies to minimize environmental impact.
Uganda is going to use its money from you, the taxpayers, to facilitate this facility, the refinery and the related facilities that have raised by 40%.
Besides the oil deal, Uganda and the UAE investors also signed 5 other agreements in various sectors, including the aviation sector, tree planting, a digital land management system, logistics cargo hubs and storage chain facilities, a comprehensive digital payment system for government transactions, streamlining tax collections and financial services, and others. Dennis Igor for UBC News.
Well, we must say congratulations, Uganda. Now, the Mufti of Uganda, Shaban Ramadan Mubadje, has urged government of Uganda to regulate social media, especially TikTok, where the users seem to be abusing its use. He also appealed for the unity among Muslim communities in Uganda, and this was at Old Kampala Mosque as Muslims during Eid Mubarak prayers were praying.
Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim Maliki Yawmiddin.
National prayers to celebrate Eid al-Fitr was at Old Kampala Mosque as Muslims gathered to celebrate after 30 days of fasting. The prayers were led by the Mufti of Uganda, Shaban Ramadan Mubadje, who urged the government to regulate social media, especially TikTok.
TikTok has become a problem, and I think time will come when it will erupt into violence. When we had Facebook, the government of Uganda closed Facebook, but I think TikTok is worse than Facebook. I think TikTok is not being regulated. I for one, recently was in a country where TikTok is not existent. It's non-existent. Then I said, oh, this, because TikTok is for idlers, for content seekers, for those who have no sense to say. So I would request that the government looks into this. TikTok is useless. Allah.
Mubadje also condemned the ongoing war between Israel and Gaza, where the Palestinians are being killed in large numbers, but appealed to Muslims to remain united and embrace reconciliation.
The ongoing massacre, as the Deputy Mufti has just mentioned, in the Middle East. The world is silent when children, women, and the elderly are being killed. My appeal to the world leaders and those with power is to respect humanity and encourage dialogue and peaceful means of solving conflicts and resolving problems. Sometimes it is very disheartening to see people being butchered in the daylight, and no one from our so-called Muslim world or Arab world raising a voice or saying a word against those people who are being killed. I wonder whether tomorrow they will tell us that Islam is a religion of peace, Islam is a religion of brotherhood, a religion of love, when Muslims saying La ilaha illallah, Muhammad Rasulullah, are killing, butchering fellow Muslims.
He commended the president of Uganda for having deployed the Uganda People's Defense Forces in the neighboring South Sudan for the purpose of peace.
We thank His Excellency the President for the foresightedness to move very fast to see that wherever there is smoke, we are there to see that we assist our neighbors to be peaceful. We thank His Excellency the President. Let's not take it for granted that this peace which we are enjoying today shouldn't be destroyed by those people who are seeking to disorganize our country.
Eid al-Fitr is celebrated by the Muslims every year at the end of 30 days of fasting. Philip Aguta for UBC News in Kampala.
Hundreds of Muslims gathered at Ham Stadium to mark Eid al-Fitr, the end of fasting during the holy month of Ramadan. The event converged families and individuals from across the community for prayers, unity, and to also reflect on the spiritual journey of the past month.
At 9 a.m., Eid prayers kicked off at Ham Stadium in Kampala, where Muslims gathered to end the month of Ramadan. Imam Hamis Elias Maweje led the prayers.
I congratulate the Ummah of Muslims in Uganda. Alhamdulillah, we congratulate you on reaching this celebration day. Eid Mubarak, Eid Mubarak, Eid Mubarak. May Allah bless us all. May Allah accept our good deeds in the holy month of Ramadan. May Allah accept us whatever we have done within the 4 days of Ramadan.
He reminded Muslims to remain steadfast in their faith despite the temptations and distractions.
And I pray to the whole generation of Muslim to accept that, let them stay steadfast with what they have been doing in the holy month. Let all the acts we have been doing, the acts of worship, the acts of sadaq or charity, any good act that you know that you have been doing it in the holy month, is entitled to us to be doing it even after Ramadan.
Imam Maweje appealed to Muslims on constant prayer, good deeds, and adherence to the teachings of Prophet Muhammad.
A lot of people, they don't know how to supplicate. Even if they do, they decide to supplicate, they supplicate for like 2 minutes. That's not how we should do. We should be people who have to fetch and see that, am I on the right track? Is it what I'm doing is the right way? These are one of the reasons that's why our prayers are not accepted, because we are not doing them the right way or the way the Prophet Muhammad taught us.
Oku Joseph, UBC.
Allahu Akbar.
The Rwenzururu King Omusinga Charles Wesley Mumbere has returned after 5 months when he was away from his subjects. The kingdom's spokesperson, Geoffrey Kanyonyi, told the media that the Musinga's current focus, or the focus of the king, is to promote the 5 pillars that will move the kingdom forward. We have a detailed report.
Omusinga, who had been away on official duties, was welcomed by his subjects who had thronged on several roads in Kasese town. The kingdom's spokesperson, Geoffrey Kanyonyi, told the media the Omusinga engaged several agencies that can work closely with the Omusinga for development. The current focus of the king is to promote the 5 pillars that will move the kingdom forward.
As a kingdom, we are very much privileged because in the rebranding mission, we have got 5 pillars of the kingdom. And in every message that we make, those pillars fit there. Because you cannot say that there is no one who doesn't need peace.
Reverend Yongeza Mkonzo says Omusinga Charles Wesley Mumbere Irangoma's return is a sign of peace and unity among the Rwenzururu.
And we are all glad and happy that he has come when he's really strong and he's doing well. We are very grateful to his arrival. We give glory to the Almighty God who has blessed him with journey mercies, and give glory to the Almighty God who has been taking care of him while he had been outside his kingdom.
Kawanguzi Paul, Muthabali Moses, UBC.
money mo pocket, tambula body street, shoes are my target. We are what? Unstoppable. We are what? Unstoppable. I'm in a plantation, but on a global mission, internet ambition, full condition. We are what? Unstoppable. We are what? Unstoppable. Oro cash is gone, netaga yo kaloni, niga mukafoni, money in the zone. We are what? Unstoppable. We are what? Unstoppable. We are good with MTN. We are what? Unstoppable.
With you and MTN together, our ambition is unstoppable.
We are what? Unstoppable.
Mala ngenze mboni pa Sam nazanya luto ganyiga star 278 then hash kujja kubanga oyingide mu kazannyo nga sente zino zimula wano zina wangu zino wano milioni 10 ebintu nasooka bilaba ku TV nange saasoka kikiriza ninga mulaye kino kinzo kubanga kituufu oba yaddala tibya bufere sente zona zifunye zona zikoze ki naziwangudde amasanyu nina mangi ebyoto byange byembadde njagala ngenda bituukiriza.
Uganda National Lottery. Dream, play, win.
Participants must be 18 years or older. Play responsibly. The Uganda National Lottery is operated by Ituba Uganda and regulated by the National Lotteries and Gaming Regulator.
Step into a world of excellence, comfort and pride with Royal Foam Furniture, crafted to perfection right here in Uganda. We bring you state-of-the-art living room furniture and bedding products at affordable prices. Our wide variety of mattresses include orthopedic, pillow top, spring mattresses suitable for institutions like hotels, and many others for home comfort. With every piece telling a story of royal excellence, our products are built with the highest quality materials made to last. Experience royalty with Royal Foam Furniture, proudly made in Uganda, so buy Uganda and build Uganda. Visit our showrooms at Ginger Road, Chambogo Junction, Bukoto Chisasi Road, and on Victoria Mall, Entebbe, on the first floor.
According to the Uganda Bureau of Statistics Census Report of 2016, in Uganda, 12.4% of the population, about 4.5 million, live with a disability. Limited access to ICT and assistive technologies increases digital disparities, prompting UCOSAF's aim to promote digital inclusiveness for persons with disabilities. The ICT for People with Disability program aims to improve the accessibility of education and technology for persons with disabilities and promote their full and effective participation in society. UCOSAF is implementing this program through the creation and maintenance of an online observatory for persons with disabilities intended to link persons with disabilities with service providers and different programs that empower them, and provision of adaptive tools that enhance their quality of life through ICTs and digital skilling.
Welcome back. You're still watching the UBC News Tonight. Muslim leaders at Chibuli Mosque are concerned over the recent Kawempe North by-election, which was marred by violence and the devastating floods in Kampala that tragically claimed the lives of 7 people last week. Prince Kasim Nachibinge called for national dialogue as the country prepares for the upcoming general elections. Saddam Mobale reports.
Allahu Akbar.
Muslims at Chibuli Mosque converged for Eid prayers to commemorate the end of Ramadan. The occasion was marked by reflections on national and global issues that have impacted the Muslim community.
Abantu batiddwa abaana abato bw'owulira mu Palestine okuttibwa olaba ku mitimbagano olaba abaana abato abakadde battibwa.
Muslim leaders in Chibuli were concerned over the recent Kawempe North by-election, which was marred by violence. They condemned the physical altercation between security personnel and journalists.
tujja kusaba abalina obuvunaanyizibwa ku bitongole bino ebirina okutukuuma ekintu ekyo bakimanye bamanye nti ffenna tuli bantu okulaba nga munno okutte waya y'amasannyalaze ogimukuba yakoze eki kintu ekyo kyali kyennyamiza mu mulembe guno ne tulowooza nti si kituufu era tekirina nsonga lwaki kibeerawo
tukkirize bwe tubataddewo okulonda okuvaanya kubeerewo naye nga kwa mirembe bwe tuwulira nti okulonda kuyinza okubeera kufuuka ekizibu gye tuli tuyinza okuggyawo naye tukkiriza bikikwatako abali mu nteekateeka eyo eggwanga muliteeketeekere bulungi.
On the flooding catastrophe, Kampala witnessed heavy rains last week which led to devastating floods, claiming 7 lives. The Supreme Mufti, His Eminence Sheikh Mohammed Galabuzi, appeals to government to address the city's drainage challenges.
Kino kigenda ebikikwatako amataba gassa abantu Lord Mayor mu Kampala. Tetunnawulirayo ebigwa bitalaze tebayambye ku bantu abo.
That much as we appreciate the lot you've done in constructing and repairing the roads in the city, please be mindful of also putting up a drainage system so that we don't have to see these floods once again.
So fetwayisa dda 2016 netugaa tukole emyala eminene 8 abakugu ne babala nti twetaaga $1 million 220 tetunnafunako n'ekikumi bwekiti.
Abantu abali abakola era nja kusaba kati muganda wange muyita Kojja Lukwago ne speaker wa Kampala district nja kubasaba mukole emergency council. Bwe tunakola emergency council tulabe tugenda kukola tya mu kifo ky'okukola blaming games tulabe nga emergency council yetu tugamba tugenda kukola kino kyemunajja mu council kyetugenda okukola ki kyetugenda okukola naye bwe twogera miliyoni bweziti nze nga nze sikwatanga ku ssente.
The preacher of the day, Sheikh Yasin Chiwewa, emphasized forgiveness, peace, and unity, urging the Muslim community and leaders to reconcile with one another. Leaders were also concerned about the ongoing conflict in Gaza and Sudan, where innocent lives are lost.
People who have been, affected with war, our neighbor and other countries, and I think now we are praying, and even Imam here, and all of them are praying for Sudan and for other countries who has been, affected with war. So I think it is time for us and for everybody to involve to stop this war.
Sada Mubale, BBC News, Kampala.
A congregation of Tablighi Muslims prayed at Nachivubo Blue Primary School in Kampala to mark the end of Ramadan with Eid al-Fitr prayers. The deputy head of Sharia at the Uganda Muslim Supreme Council, Sheikh Salim Bossa, led the prayers, calling upon government not to link Tablighi Muslim with terrorism.
Allahu Akbar.
Sheikh Salim Bossa, the deputy head of Sharia at the Uganda Muslim Supreme Council, has clarified that linking Tablighi Muslims to terrorism is wrong. He says Tablighi Muslims are peaceful citizens and should not be labeled unfairly.
Government esobola okuvaayo mu ddoboozi nga bwe mpulidde message ya Amirul Umma ti president yakakasizza nti abasiraamu si batujju. President w'eggwanga eno tukusaba okwongera okunyweza ekigambo ekyo okujja ku umma naddala abavubuka ba umma eno okubateeka mu bikolwa nti be batujju tetubangako batujju. Eddiini yaffe etulagira mirembe, eddiini yaffe etulagira kukuuma mirembe, emirembe egyo basiraamu tusigale nga tugikuuma.
Sheikh Bossa also called for stronger measures against corruption, which he blamed for the future of key sectors.
Efeeyo nnyo okulwanyisa enguzi. Enguzi eno yezzizza ensi emabega. Era mu kulwanyisa enguzi egaba emirimu kyenkanyi eri abantu nga tewali busosoze mu madiini nga tewali busosoze mu mawanga. Era tuba twagala okulwanyisa enguzi senga enkola ya federal system gavumenti egiyisa negenda mu maaso ojja kulaba nga buli bitundu byonna bikula.
The head of the Tabligh sect in Uganda, Sheikh Yunus Kamoga, says the country gears up for the next polls. Government needs to start civic education early.
Mulonde n'emirembe n'essanyu n'amazima kitegeeza nti onze mbasiri naawe nti ndi mulabe ekigambo kya lunaku lumu tulesenga okubi ono ovumye ono ojereza ono ngamba kulonda kuwa si kipya kikyaliwo.
Meanwhile, in Butambala, Sheikh Manja Huzaifa led prayers reminding Muslims to uphold moral values beyond Ramadan and pray for a peaceful nation. Butambala Resident District Commissioner Haj Ahmed Katerega Musazi encouraged citizens to participate in government programs. Across the country, religious leaders used the occasion to address key social and political issues. East Buganda Regional Kadi Sheikh Mustafa Lule condemned the mistreatment of religious leaders and appreciated the president for awarding Sheikh Erias Chigozi among the Kadis for serving their communities.
N'okugondera abakulembeze kya munono zaffe ate kya ddiini era kya buwangwa kubanga ensi eno okuba yabeerawo zetambula nga erina omukulembeze. Ekirabo kyaffe kyatuweereddwa disitulikaazi waffe owawakiso Sheikh Erias Kigozi ekyamukwasiddwa mu State House Entebbe. Twebaza omukulembeze w'eggwanga kuteekawo eddembe ly'okwesinza eddembe ly'okukkiririza mu nzikiriza zonna.
While Wakiso District Kadi, Sheikh Erias Chigozi urged Muslims to use government programs such as the PDM and Myoga.
Okubakubiriza okulaba nga mufaayo nnyo ku bintu by'enkulaakulana okusingira ddala enteekateeka gavumenti gye yeetaddewo eya PDM n'emyoga mujejjumbire mujettanire abasiraamu ba Uganda kubanga lyekkubo lyokka lye tugenda okuyitamu okusobola okulaba nga twekulaakulanya. Ensimbi ezo ziba muzifunye muzikozese mu nkozesa ey'okuzikuuma muzikozese mu nkozesa ey'okuzza okulaba nga zigenda kuzaala ate ensimbi endala.
Kawanguzi Paul, Jamil Sekaja, UBC.
Voters in Chotera district have been rallied to support the National Resistance Movement Party and President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni if they are to benefit from government programs. This has been part of the message shared as Buganda Caucus NRM party members gathered in Chotera district under the Buganda for Museveni crusade.
Uganda Muslim Supreme Council Toroko delegate to Sime Yahaya Yakub during Eid al-Fitr prayers at Karugutu Mosque said the district has over 20,000 Muslims who have never benefited in any of the government appointments despite their full-time support to President Museveni.
There are some other benefits which we have missed. For example, like state scholarship and government scholarship, political appointment and technical appointments. So we request, if there is still an opportunity, please let him consider Amtoroko.
The senior presidential advisor mobilization, Meshak Kamara, pledged to present their concerns to the president.
The construction of this mosque, they asked me to inform His Excellency the President, support them. They also talked about they are not being considered in political appointments.
In Kagadi district, Sheikh Isingoma Muhammad, the district Kadi, Chibale Muslim district, while leading Eid prayers at Kagadi main mosque in Kagadi district, asked Muslims to embrace government programs as well as preserving environment for sustainable development.
Encourage Muslims to continue supporting government programs like a PDM, Myoga, and other programs like immunization.
We should make sure that we be healthy. We should make sure that we take our children to school because when you educate a child, you have educated the nation.
Bugisu Sub-Region Regional Kadi Sheikh Issa Masaba Pole called upon government to regulate social information that has caused conflicts among Ugandans. He was leading Eid prayers at Uganda Muslim Supreme Council grounds in Maluku, Mbale City.
Also called Masaba to heed the government call to calm down the slopes and stop cultivating on the mountain side, which now makes the environment exposed and degraded. So,
from Masindi district, the district Kadi Sheikh Safian Mogissa advised Muslims to be faithful when doing business and more especially in sugarcane growing, not to poach or steal cane in the plantation since the Holy Quran does not allow it. At the new mosque in Chisanga A ward of Kasese municipality, District Kadi Sheikh Musa Baluku challenged Muslims to observe the Islam faith laws as they make climax of the fasting season.
In our district Kadi Kasese, a vehicle to facilitate his transportation arrangement so that he's able to reach and to go and serve in all the mosques in Kasese.
Francis Kithulha, one of the non-Muslim members in Kasese municipality who prayed with the Muslims, applauded Muslims for ensuring that people of Kasese get a separate district from Toro.
Of course, every other faith has challenges, but we pray that wherever they have a challenge and they request to government and as the community, we can be able to bring and be able to celebrate with them or solve challenges.
In Mubende at Masjid Town Mosque, Sheikh Bashir Sensuku urged Muslims to keep united and pray for Uganda.
Now we have insecurity at the southern Sudan borders, like we have heard recently. Our people have been killed on that road leading to southern Sudan. So we need to pray for that Allah brings in security.
Haj Issa Tindiebwa, chairman of Kabale District Muslim Council, during Eid al-Fitr prayers at Masjid Jamia Kirigime Mosque, urged the government to conduct thorough research before implementing new policies.
There is a law that is coming up about URA collecting school fees from some schools. We feel like this one should first be well researched before it is implemented, because we see it causing some other issues, and this issue will make Ugandans suffer.
And from Teso Karamoja sub-region, the regional assistant to the Mufti for North-Eastern region, Teso Karamoja, His Eminence Sheikh Abubakar Umar Obilan, has called upon the Muslims to have love, embrace peace in unity.
We have encouraged the Muslims not to always only confine themselves in their circles of Muslims. We need to understand that love is God-given. It's a broad thing. We need to spread it beyond even our faiths so that we can have a peaceful society.
We do beg your pardon. That was a story where Muslims across the country went through different mosques in their districts to attend Eid al-Fitr prayers. An emphasis of the message was that the Muslims should embrace government programs, observe Islamic faith laws and government to regulate social media platforms. Now, as earlier mentioned, voters in Chotera district have been rallied to support the National Resistance Movement Party and President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni if they are to benefit from government programs. This was part of the message shared as the Buganda Caucus NRM party members gathered in Chotera district under the Buganda for Museveni crusade.
The Buganda Form 7 crusade has reached Chotera district. The crusade is aiming at drumming support for President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni and NRM party in Uganda come 2026 general elections.
No, we lost in the other elections, 2021. So we are trying to analyze, look for a way forward. How can we gain Uganda to come back and support His Excellency the President and the NRM as a party?
In Chotera district, the popularization campaign initiated by party members subscribing to Buganda Caucus has been hosted in Kalisiro Town Council, with members of cabinet taking the front seats.
In this drive, we are going around to follow up on the issues that have been raised, because we know that they are being handled. So we go out there to check the services that they've been done. If there are problems, what are the issues and how can we deal with them?
There's a national cake. And if you do not have a representative at the place where the national cake is being distributed, you are going to get nothing. These people have witnessed. They have suffered for years. They have not benefited nothing at all.
The campaign launched on 16th March 2025 from Kiboga district is now in its third week and expected to run across the entire Buganda sub-region.
In terms of healthcare, in terms of PDM, it must be, Buganda must benefit. And they cannot benefit if they are not moving or they are electing leaders that are not in tandem with the ruling government.
So that's what we are following up, and we are telling people Uganda should vote for Museveni because he has done those things that he promised to do.
With such public engagements, the party is assured of renewed support in Uganda come 2026.
Museveni is for Uganda. NRM is for Uganda. What should we expect? For sure, I'll make sure that, of course, I've understood from the mistakes we have made, Museveni will be voted back. NRM will be voted back. NRM will take control of this country because we are very fast learners. We learn from our mistakes, and here we are. You see, in 2026, there came a wave, and the candidates promised our people so many things, heaven. But now, 4 years down the road, these people have not seen anything.
For now, all political parties are sharpening their work tools as they prepare for the 2026 general elections. Robert Onyango, UBC News.
The Fisheries Protection Unit has intercepted 2 trucks at Chikorongo checkpoint in Kasese district transporting immature fish from Kampala to Mpondwe, Rubiriha, Uganda-Congo border. The impounded trucks are estimated to have been carrying 6 tons of immature fish, which have been destroyed by burning after securing a court order from Katwe Magistrates Court. During the destruction of the immature fish, the intelligence officer FPU Major Joseph Cherop, representing Lieutenant Colonel Mase to Kahirwa, the FPU commander, appealed to the business community to desist from dealing in immature fish.
The intercepted vehicle included Fuso Fighter, registration number UBL 440P and Kanta UBH 823C. They were followed by the intelligence of Lieutenant Colonel Masi Tukahira, the FPU commander.
You are seeing this one here. This is just 6 inches compared to 20 inches. This is 18 inches.
On inspection, it was discovered that actually they have immature fish. Although they have a species of Nile tilapia, some of them which are mature, but the majority are immature.
The search discovered that they were carrying immature fish. The intelligence officer, Major Joseph Cherop, urged business community to stop dealing in immature fish.
The quantity of the fish is approximately six tons, loaded in 2 trucks, as we have witnessed already. The value of the total fish would be over 100 million shillings. And this is too much destruction. I'm calling upon all fishermen, I'm calling upon all traders who are dealing in fish and all transporters dealing in fish to desist from capture of immature fish.
Meanwhile, the FPU officers secured a court order from Katwe Road Magistrates Court to destroy the immature fish. Over 6 tons worth 100 million shillings were destroyed by burning before the public.
But the Fisheries and Aquaculture Act, to this specific section 97, is very clear. Any immature fish is supposed to be destroyed. So I think also the court will uphold that decision, and so we are going to destroy all the immature fish.
I encourage the community, the government, those who are trading in these immature fish, please, mukendezeho mure twalinda ubuhanga bwesi twalinda nyanja zaitu.
6 suspects are being held at Katwe Police Station and will be arraigned in court for contravening the Aquaculture Act of 2023. Kawanguzi Paul, Sula Kagugube, UBC.
Global Alliance for Improved Nutrition has engaged universities and other institutions of learning to provide technical support to local manufacturers to engage in food production goods, such that students do internship in their business, and at the end they can come up with products that meet international standards. The collaboration began with Chambogo, Gulu, Makerere universities, and students have been connected to different factories to provide the expertise in the production of consumables.
The Gender Advisor Africa Global Alliance for Improved Nutrition GAIN, Caroline Ewonya, a team, observed this during the official closure of the university students together with the local manufacturers of food products function held at Nikan Resort Hotel in Wakiso district.
And improve the knowledge of our private service providers who deal in the production of nutritious products. So given that we did an assessment among the private service providers, main businesses, and these are in different categories, like those who are into confectionery,
Professor Ivan Mozira Mukisa, Department of Food Technology and Nutrition, Makerere University, asked government through the Ministry of Trade to provide equipment to some universities so that they could engage in the production of modern foods on the market.
The Ministry of Trade can actually support these different labs within the universities to acquire more state-of-the-art equipment to be able to do testing for the food products, especially for the small-scale industries that cannot afford services or setting up their own labs.
Dr. Mugaga Christopher of Gulu University Food and Nutrition Security Specialist said they have assisted many industries in the region to produce goods that have value addition and good for people's health.
Agro-industrialization, which we all need to embrace, especially within our expertise, and particularly for the young people who may find it very easy to contribute to the economy, because it's an area where you can invest now and start seeing some money, because young people need quick money.
Alupo Jacinta, a nutrition student at Chambogo University, says given a chance to carry out her internship in Taste of Fruit Juice Company, gained expertise in the production of standard juice.
One of the things they required was to help them to be able to improve the nutritious content of their product, because they basically make basic products, which I am engaging in, and I'm also yet to come up with a new product.
Benon Mukwaya, Richard Chirembeka for UBC.
Come on, mo pocket, tambula body street, issues are my target. We are what? Unstoppable. We are what? Unstoppable. I'm in a plantation, but on a global mission, internet ambition, full condition. We are what? We are what? Unstoppable. Oro cash is gone, netaga yo kaloni, liga mukafoni, money in the zone. We are what? Unstoppable. We are what? Unstoppable. We are good.
With you and MTN together, our ambition is unstoppable.
We are what? Unstoppable!
Welcome back. You're still watching the UBC News Tonight. As Muslims across the country mark Eid celebrations, Kampala's Old Port Bell Abattoir has recorded a lower than expected supply of cattle, with only about 500 animals received. This has driven up meat prices, affecting both wholesale buyers and consumers. More details on the report.
It is Eid, a time when demand for meat soars. But here at the Old Port Bell Abattoir, the numbers tell a different story. With only about 500 cattle received, much lower than anticipated, traders say they are struggling to meet the demand.
Well, we have received not many animals today, because remember we have been in a drought season. It has just rained in those cattle corridor areas. We have received around 500 to 600 to be specific.
Olwaleero tufunye ntono nnyo olwokuba nti omusana gweyaka nnyo mu byalo, kati omusana gweyaka nnyo mu byalo ate enkuba n'etonnya, kati enkuba bweyaka tonnya teri mulunzi atuna nsolo ye, era emiwendo gy'ennyama girinnyeemu. Tusaba kasitoma kyaleero kya Idi n'ejja kuleka ku bbeeyi yayo ya bulijjo.
The situation has left many consumers frustrated, with the high cost of living already squeezing household budgets. The increased meat prices mean fewer families can afford their preferred Eid delicacies. Experts attribute this to the prolonged dry spell, followed by heavy rains, which have disrupted livestock farming. Farmers struggled with pasture shortages during the dry season, and now heavy rains have complicated transportation.
The price of meat today has been quite high.
Ekyamazima kinti tuli bize nnyo kubanga ebisoro byazze n'esi mu bungi nnyo, era akanyama tujasaba eggwanga tulyetondera akanyama ko katonera abantu bagenda kalira mu bbeeyi mu ddala, kuba wano ewaffe ennyama eri mutwalo gumu kanaana we tusuubuza kyensubira ku bucha ekyo gira ku mitwalo 2 oba 21,200. Mpozi amaliba go ekyamazima kiri nti ntuusa obubaka buno eri eggwanga lyonna n'abakulembeze bafe abatwala okusinga ddala Pulezidenti Museveni. Ekyamazima kiri nti ffe ng'abasuuzi b'amaliba tukyagaanye okuyambibwa, tulina okuzibwa kungi nnyo nnyo nnyo.
Well, we have also got some goats and sheep. The price of liver will also be high, especially on the butchery. We expect those butchermen to sell the liver, a kilo of liver, at around 23 to 24,000, because here they have bought at 21.
Tugisuubuza okatumba ogumu kanaana n'emitwalo 2 olw'okuba nti ebirundu ebisinga byonna bisibe kalantini, ate n'omusana gwase nnyo Uganda yonna. Bulijjo omusana bwe gwaka embalala ekyankubanza ebeerayo enkuba, naye olwali omusana gwase Uganda yonna entufunye entono nnyo.
As the celebrations continue, the hope is that interventions can be put in place to stabilize livestock supply and prices. For now, many Ugandans are feeling the pinch of the high cost of meat.
Educating the children has started empowering youthful girls in Uganda with computer coding skills to bridge the gender gap in ICT adoption. The program was launched in 2020 and it has linked 80% of its beneficiaries to the job market. I had a chance to interact with the stakeholders.
Let me hear you!
The program, Code Queens, marks 5 years since its launch in Uganda and has so far empowered 500 youth females with several ICT skills like website building, software engineering, using various programming languages.
You know, there's so much talent here, but there isn't that many opportunities. And especially when we're looking at technology as well, there's not that many women in technology, although they do have the education. And a lot of that has to do with self-confidence. It has to do with a lot of the university courses being very theoretical. And so we wanted to provide very practical technology skills for these young, talented women.
To commemorate the anniversary, the organization invited several experts to inspire beneficiaries to navigate the technology work world and its challenges.
When you work on your mindset, you are equipping your mind so you
you have a vision when you're learning the technology, the skills that you're learning, you know that you are renewing your mind.
So I had to work, I had to go to school, but because of that passion, nothing was too hard for me. I can tell you it was very hard being in a foreign land with no money, but I would have rather been in that situation than being here and done a course that I hated while having my tuition being paid.
ICT is deemed a male-dominated space in Uganda, but the story is gradually changing, seeing more initiatives like this pay keen attention to female empowerment while linking them to the job market.
Whenever we ask the ladies to come alone, I mean, we say, this is an event which is for the ladies, we would see so many ladies showing up. But when we say it's combined with the men, then we have that small percentage. I think we need to open up. We need to open up and begin to embrace, you know, the collaboration that we can have with the men to actually, you know, move forward. Let's not keep in our cocoons and say we are the ladies, we are going to, you know, do our thing.
Beneficiaries showcased products that were as of a result from the Code Queen training. One example being Bystairs, a short-term rental platform in Uganda with exclusive focus on availing accommodation with other tourism experiences. Wadulo Arnold, UBC News in Kampala. Furthermore, Uganda has been tasked to identify the kind of tourism destiny that encourages local communities to engage in domestic tourism. Countries like Kenya, Rwanda, Tanzania have opted for encouraging people from abroad to visit their countries. And this has been possible by advertising globally about what they have to offer to the tourists across the world.
Ugandans have been encouraged to refine the country's tourism strategy, balancing efforts to promote domestic tourism while also attracting international visitors. Speaking at a farewell event in Kampala for the outgoing Executive Director of the Uganda Wildlife Authority, Sam Mwanda, the Executive Director of the African Wildlife Foundation, Kadu Chiwe Sebunya, emphasized the need for a clear strategic direction in tourism.
Avenues for Uganda to define what kind of tourism they need. Is it a high-end? Is it off-lander tourism? Backpackers? Is it domestic tourism? We need to define that. You know, so countries, I mean, you talked about Rwanda. Rwanda has defined this niche as the high-end tourism, and they're investing in that. Kenya has defined as safari tourism.
The Minister for Tourism, Wildlife and Antiquities, Martin Mugara Bahinduka, advised civil servants to plan for retirement rather than extending their service beyond the required period.
The reason as to why we should maintain the status quo or even grow it. 15 minutes by strike of a pen to undo all these efforts. So this is what you're dealing with as the new team and the entire conservation fraternity.
The chairman, UWA Board of Trustees, Professor James Kalema, said that over the past 4 years, the authority has generated more than 160 billion Ugandan shillings for tourism. Professor James urged the incoming executive director to maintain and grow this revenue.
The revenue that is raised by Uganda Wildlife Authority has increased from just about 80 billion Uganda shillings from the time that he came in as executive director to the current over 160 or so billion Uganda shillings a year. So we do hope that the coming in of Dr. James Mutsenguzi should be associated with even improvement of this revenue.
The outgoing executive director, Sam Mwanda, reflected on the steady progress at UWA during his 7-year tenure, attributing the success to teamwork.
The UWA, it had gotten to a level when it was starting to break even, if you understand that. The money they were collecting had started reaching the money they needed to use. And I just built on that. The staff that were there, the team that was there was already doing a good job, and all I needed was to build on to that. In the same way, Dr. Msinguzi, who is coming, will also work to build on that legacy.
Incoming Executive Director Dr. James Musinguzi called on UWA staff to support him in positioning the authority among the country's top 20 profit-making entities.
I just want to ask all of you, as stakeholders in the wildlife sector, that we shall be able to thrive, especially with your support. And to my colleagues, the staff, I have come. Please embrace me and we serve our country, Uganda.
And now in the world of sports, the Uganda High Commission to London has joined a London-based group of Ugandans, locally known as the Uganda Crew, in the fight against malaria. This mission is to help Uganda fight malaria, will be through the Malaria Run, which is an initiative by the Parliament of Uganda's Committee on Malaria. More details in this story.
Uganda Jew!
Ugandans are living in the United Kingdom have taken part in a 5-kilometer park run at Burgess Park in Southwark County, London.
So we appeal to all Ugandans, it's a noble cause, to come and participate on this, to raise awareness of the malaria issue, which affects so many people in Uganda, the young people, the youth. Malaria is still a big thing, so we need to highlight the scourge of malaria and how it affects our community, and what we need to do as a way forward.
The event is a precursor to the upcoming Malaria Run, scheduled for 10th May at the Burgess Park.
Today I ran a 5K, and it was to raise awareness for malaria.
This morning we did the 5K park run
to raise the awareness for malaria in Uganda that's taking quite a number of lives.
It's a way we fellowship here.
This is a way you can enjoy it.
After doing the physical fitness, we got to do the mental fitness.
This run that aims to raise money to save Uganda from the burden of malaria is achieved in collaboration with the Uganda Crew that is led by former Uganda Cranes captain John Latigo.
I used to be a football player in Uganda. I played football at international level. I played for Kampala City Council Football Club, and then in the national team as well, and captained the Uganda Cranes.
The Uganda Crew, that has been in existence for the past 15 years, has organized runs for various causes, including fundraising for mental health support to help Uganda. Uganda faces a high malaria burden, with a significant portion of its population always at risk. The disease remains a leading cause of morbidity and mortality, especially in children. For this run aimed to raise money to fight malaria in Uganda, various UK partners including Malaria Normal, Malaria Consortium UK, Rollback Malaria and the UK's All-Party Parliamentary Group on Malaria have confirmed participation.
And that brings us to the end of our 8 o'clock edition of the UBC News Tonight. But did you know that nearly 75% of our country is under the age of 35 years or so? And I had a tweet that says, what would a man, or what should a man have by the time they are 30? And a prominent journalist, Alan Kasuja, said that 30 is young. You could probably lose everything and start afresh. There's no need for pressure. Well, that is for you, young country. Have a good time with your time and make it productive. Otherwise, thank you for joining us. Join us at 10 o'clock for another bulletin.
UBC, inspiring Uganda. UBC, inspiring Uganda.
Credible life story is shared and told differently.
Here is a typical cycle of life. You're born, you're raised, and in that raising, you are sent to school to acquire an education with the expectation that from that education, you'll land a good job or even start a business and be an entrepreneur. And with that, you live your life in the best way you know how, given the skills and experiences you garner along the way. Now, some of us do it exceedingly well, others well through in a mediocre way, but somehow we all live through the cycle of life. Tonight, on Incredible Life Stories with Simon Kassiaten, I have a man, not short of a description of the word genius. Went through school, but on the tail end of what his acquired education now is, he just aced his education with flying colors. Now, can you imagine someone who goes to university, studies a highly technical science course like engineering, and very specifically electrical engineering, and walks out with a first-class degree? Then, like that's not satisfying enough, he goes back to the university to study a contrast of a course in the arts, goes in to study law, and aces it with a first class. So we're talking to no one other than a genius, if you ask me. So tonight, we don't know whether to call him an engineer or a lawyer, but a blend of both is an interesting mix, which incredible life story we are out to listen to tonight. Welcome to the program, Mr. Peterson Mwesiga.
Thank you, Simon. It's a pleasure to be hosted here and to tell my story.
On the program, do we refer to you as an engineer or a lawyer? Or do we have to do the interchangeable kind of thing?
Well, I think we have more liberty to use either. What can I say?
Well, let's start from where it all began with regard to that incredibly interesting story of your academic prowess. Tell us about the first-class degree in engineering, and then take us to the first-class engineering degree in law. That's before we go to how it all began from the word go.
Yes. I think it's true that I qualified as an engineer with a first-class degree, and later on did an MSc as well.
Wow, and that came out with distinction.
That's correct. And then I also went to law school and also received my degree. What can I say? I think I've been privileged. I think God has been very gracious to me.
Now you're being very modest, Bitson, here, but we want to look into the in works of presenting a first-class degree in electrical engineering. I mean, many children watching the program, some with the ambition of being engineers of different forms, are scared at the prospect of doing an engineering course at a university. But you did not only just do an engineering course, but you aced it with flying colors. Yes, we understand God opened the way, was very gracious to you, was magnanimous, but we believe you also put in the hard work. As they say, God helps those who help themselves.
That's true. It's a bit of hard work.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of hard work, actually.
I was going to say you're being modest with the hard work bit.
But I saw that you are coming to that. So, but I think it's more to do with what I can call personal discipline.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, the word discipline means that if I borrow your money, Simon, and I told you that I'll pay you tomorrow at midday, two likely scenarios will happen tomorrow at midday. Either I will have the money,
and you pay,
and I'll pay, or I will make a phone call, and I will say, for reason ABC, I'm unable to pay. I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm.
Give me another day, or give me 2 days, or something like that. The idea that you set out to do something, and then you follow through in a disciplined way. So that's what I can, attribute my accomplishments to.
I see that on the small little things that determine human interaction. You're very keen on timekeeping.
Thank you.
When we agree on a time, right on the dot, you are there. But you're operating in a society where time management, for example, honesty, and all these other virtues are few and far in between. Doesn't that frustrate you sometimes?
It does, but I think the beauty is that if you work with some people, first time, second time, then they know that, you know, if you agree on a time, you'll be there. So then they will adjust.
What
So
about you
eventually,
adjusting to those who actually now make it their point to come late all the time?
Well, of course, I think in our society that's inevitable, especially if you're dealing with our political leaders and you're working together on something. Then there will be instances when they have more commitments than
Also
other
it
people.
appears.
So also it appears. So then you have to accommodate them and things like that. But by and large, what I've learned is that if you run a disciplined life, with time, people get to know that, you know, if it's time, then you mean business, and then they will actually try to adjust. And then it will be easy going forward.
And of course, you tell us the details of your life story from where it started from, but one is interested in understanding how you make a switch from a highly technical science subject like law, which you studied at undergrad, first class, going for a master's of science in engineering, pass with high distinction, and then switch to the law of things. Like there was not enough law in electrical engineering. I mean, there's Ohm's law, there's Faraday's law, and all these other laws. Why do you make that switch?
I think the word switch would not be accurate.
You don't say an addition.
Yes, I think it would be like, okay, so you're operating in this space, and you want to operate in a slightly bigger space, like pushing your boundaries, if that makes sense. So I wouldn't look at it as switching. I would look at it as
diversification, should we say?
Yeah, exercising more liberty with yourself, really. And I think at some point, especially for colleagues who do technical courses, strictly technical science courses, you tend to find that at some point they go into management.
Oh, yes.
So you'll see people doing an MBA or going to MI to do a postgraduate diploma in management or project planning and that kind of thing. What they are really trying to do is to be competent in their technical area,
but also acquire the supporting.
Absolutely. So I thought at some point, and so if you don't do that, you tend to find that the people who are qualified in the strictly technical disciplines are sometimes ill-prepared when it comes to
management,
other aspects.
if they are thrust into management,
dealing with dealing with other aspects of life, really,
including dealing with people, especially for you scientists,
yeah, absolutely,
who deal with machines.
Yes, so there's a sense in which then it's I thought it's a helpful thing to do a broader program. Incidentally, Simon, my initial plan was to do an MBA.
Because I was just about to ask, why did you then choose what is otherwise considered to be an incredibly difficult course that requires you to do pre-entry examinations?
Yes, so I had planned to do an MBA, and then I came across a book by a guy called Josh Kaufman. The book is called The Personal MBA. I think it's about 350 pages, but he simply makes the argument that an MBA is useless. Yes, he does, and I hope you don't have an MBA, do you?
Well, I do, incidentally.
so you need to read that book. He makes a compelling
unfortunately,
argument.
I can't unlearn it, but yes, I will read the book for sure.
Yes. You read the book. It's a compelling argument, but he says that an MBA is useless, and he lays out his case in 350 pages. So I found the argument a bit compelling. I thought the 2 years in an MBA can be weaved into something broader. So I thought then a law program gives you what an MBA can give you
and much
more. So then it's not such a big problem to say, okay, then I'll put in a little more time, do a law program, and have a little more liberty with myself.
Does that say something about you and your propensity to look out for the more difficult things to do, as opposed to just worrying over what would otherwise be considered as normal, easy to get?
I don't know whether I'm going to sound a bit immodest, but
feel free. You're telling your life story.
Yes, I do not have this problem that such a thing is very hard. Yes, I always think that if I know what is required and I can put my head to it, maybe if it's hard, I could do it over a longer time. But I always think that
nothing is impossible.
Yes, I always think that most of the things are possible.
So you have this mindset of saying no human is limited, as Kenyan marathon.
Especially since guys would have done these things. Most of the things we're trying to do, a number of guys have done them. Incidentally, Simon, you find it interesting that somebody would be double trained in these different areas. But it wouldn't make news in China, in the US, in UK. In fact, in UK, I have a number of friends who, have qualified in different fields. Sometimes in three. You find a guy who's a medic, who's a lawyer, who's
and a journalist.
CPA, SCCA, a journalist or something like that. I think societies which have developed ahead of us have come to understand life in totality.
Wow.
That the purpose of education is to liberate you.
As opposed to here, where it's worn as a badge of honor, a status symbol, and gives you bragging rights.
If you want to, but I think the purpose of education should be to liberate you, to liberate your mind, so that at the end of that liberation, then you can go and liberate other people. You can solve problems of society. And I think if somebody is trained in a specific area and they acquire more training, I think it makes them richer, not poorer.
Peyton, the people we are speaking to have gone through an education, the majority of whom. But the reason you are speaking to us is that you didn't just go through an education. You aced the education with first-class degrees in the disciplines you went for. And we're interested in trying to possibly, to use a medical term, dissect your mind and try to get to understand. Are we speaking to an ultra-human? Are we speaking to someone that's a typical postcard image of a masterstroke of intellectual genius? Do you consider yourself a guy with such high cognitive abilities that you don't forget what you see once, you capture things from the blackboard, or your level of understanding, in-depth analysis is way perhaps above the average? Why do you put yourself?
No, I think I'm not exceptional by any standard.
Now the modesty in you.
No. Maybe I have to explain. I have to explain why I'm not exceptional. I'm not exceptional. I think, as I said earlier, I try to exercise personal discipline. That's all there is. It will be, I think, inaccurate to think that I'm actually as smart as you want our viewers to.
You are highly cerebral.
To believe. I don't think so. I think it's more like I have lived the life of personal discipline. My life story has required me to be very disciplined in many ways.
Wow.
Yes. And maybe to, you see...
Without preempting you, we'll get down to your life story, a bit of which I think I need to give our viewers a bit of a snippet, that Pitson here is a man who, for the most part, went through a lot of adversity in his education journey, especially after losing his parents at a very tender age, and went to several schools at primary level, at secondary school level, until he got to university. So it's not the story that is punctuated with the usual one primary school, one secondary school, and the like. But also I must say that on the program, we've had a guest before you, Mr. Kaguri, who also, like you, aced first-class degrees in two subjects, in social sciences and in law. The only interesting bit that's a bit different from yours is he did them concurrently, as opposed to one after, sequentially. So let's take
and
a
I watched the program, I think last week.
And he also started from the point of adversity in his education journey, famously saying he was educated starting with a fifth of a pencil and half a book. But let's take a short break. When we return, we'll get down to your actual life story and where it all began, Petson.
Thank you.
It's Incredible Life Story with Simon Kasiate. We'll be right back.
Everyone has a life story to tell, but an incredible life story is shared and told differently.
Incredible Life Stories with Simon Kasiate. Now, if you go back to the history of Makerere University, Kampala, there is about maybe 13 folks over its long history of over 100 years that are on record for having aced first-class degrees. Some of them include the late Kidu Makuya. We also have another Makuya who's Apollo, lawyer in town. We have a very good friend, Brendan Tambirechi, Mr. Chazi, I think Joseph is his other name, and you, and of course my good friend Kabumba Businje, who I believe you now must have a certain cohort or group in which you belong as highly cerebral at the university. And you pardon me for really hopping onto that, but we find that a masterstroke of genius. Bitson, where you are now, I want to believe as a young child growing up, may not necessarily be the place you ever dreamt about. Or if you did, how very vivid was that dream that now you actuate it in this manner with such great excellence?
I don't think growing up as young children we had big dreams.
Mm-hmm.
We grew up in the 80s, early 90s. In my village there used to be very few people.
Which is in Ntungamo.
Yes,
so you were born in the undulating hills of southwestern Uganda.
Yes, absolutely, in Ntungamo district. Mm-hmm. So there used to be a few people who owned bicycles. So when we'd be going to school, if you wanted them to give you a lift at the top of the hill, you would help to carry their bicycle.
Push it up the hill.
To push it up the hill. And our dreams were actually to own a bicycle and be like those guys.
Because that's the exposure you had.
That was the exposure that we had. The other interesting thing is that when they would be going downhill, you can pedal forward for a bike.
To propel it.
But when you're going down the hill and you don't need propulsion, you can propel going backwards, I think to have fun or something like that.
Or maybe to create some more drag and a little bit of resistance as a braking mechanism.
Yes. So we used to find that very interesting. So those guys are the guys we would look up to. Some of them would be like our extended family. And the other people really who were able to own bikes at that time.
The ones the president referred to in one of his COVID speeches of, he would be going downhill with a bicycle and your shirt buttons open and the shirt is just flying in the wind. So that was a sign of machoism.
Yes, so those guys were our heroes. And I think the first dreams that we had were to one day just own a bicycle and be like those guys. So I think I would be lying if I said that we had big dreams. Because growing up in the village, you really have so much exposure.
Let's get down to your own nuclear family. What, to the best of your recollection, just paint for us a picture of what your family looked like from the time you began to realize you're in this family. Father, mother, siblings, if at all. How extended was it? The setting at home.
Okay, so my father is the late Wilson Vyaruhanga. And my mother is the late Jovail Kobronde. Incidentally, both of them died in quick succession in 1993. That's the time. So I think I was about P2 coming to P3. And we are 6 children.
And you are which number of the
I am number 3.
The middle child, more or less.
Yes, I'm number 3. And at the time they died, our last born was 9 months.
Oh dear.
Yes, so we had that tragic loss.
Which quickly turned you into a child-led family, because I want to believe your eldest sibling must have been the one